So now I had to have to talk again. Like, all right, bro, listen. I understand, but
Before you go any deeper into your story, Trey, let me ask the fellas a question. Let me ask the fellas a question. I guess it's based on what you've even just shared. So obviously, gentlemen, you obviously found out the child is well, I don't know if you have found out child is yours. I hope that's not gonna trigger anything. But you know, what would you do if you then found like this situation happened and you found out the kid is not yours? What would you then do? What would be how would you have felt in that moment yourselves coming from a male perspective? Because I saw some of you guys, your facial expressions kind of change when you're hearing the story. um in your own situations, how would you have felt if you didn't realize, "Shite, the kid's not mine"? How would you have taken it? How would you have dealt with that, knowing that you've just taken on the responsibility to man up, step up in that moment? What would be your kind of reaction in that regard?
Wow. I mean, at first I would, I would feel some type of way about how it all went down. Then I would take into consideration how much time has gone by, and if the child is at a age where he recognizes me as dad or as a father, then I'm that kid's father, and that's just what it is. Despite what me and his mom have gone through, I would try to have the tough conversation with the mom and say, "Hey, at some point, the child needs to know the truth, and we need to find this child's biological father because the kid deserves that." The kid at least deserves to know, and I honestly believe that the kid and the biological father should have some type of communication stream or contact stream with each other, and then the biological father has the choice to live with that as well. Because as of right now, that guy could be wanting a child, you know,
Mm.
and he may have a child out there, and then he may be married now, and he may need to explain that to his new wife right now. And I think that's just a lot of time to be wasted. It was a big deal on the show, and when the father's not there, is it a broken child? When the biological father isn't there, I wouldn't necessarily say broken, but I would say, you know, as a man who didn't have his biological father present, but did have a man present, there is a piece of you that's missing that you deserve, to get answers to.
Just say that last part again.
Hmm. Say that again.
The last part. That last part you said about yourself.
I said
Just
that
say that
I
last part.
said there is a piece of you that's missing, until you find the truth, because you want to know about you. You want to know your how you came into existence. What was that process like? You have your mom's version, then you have your biological father's version, and you just want to look your creator in the eye. And that was my experience. Like, I really don't have nothing to say. I want you to see me see you, and then maybe I'll adjust based on your reaction to all that, and take it from there. Because that was a true story. I found my biological father. I found um, five other brothers and sisters, and I recorded the whole thing. Believe it or not, on live stream. And I think every person deserves that. Deserves that. What do you call it? That closure.
Mm.
Hmm.
Mm. Appreciate it, Tyrone. Thank you for
Hmm.
sharing that. AB, how would
and
you have handled that situation?
when you first asked the question, I thought to myself, I guess it depends how old the kid is. But then I started to think like I I don't care if he was 1 month old, 1 week old, or still in the womb. As soon as I found out that I was having a son or having a child, I started to build a bond emotionally and mentally, preparing myself to be a dad. So I would have been devastated. I would have been devastated if I would find out that my son wasn't mine, no matter what stage of the pregnancy or what stage of life he was in. It definitely would have hurt. I'm pretty sure I would have fell into some type of depression. Um, yeah, it would have torn me apart. Of course, I would have rebuilt myself and I would have got over it eventually. But after just finding out that I was expecting, and starting to think of how I will be as a dad, and painting a picture in my head, and seeing him grow in his mom's stomach, that bond really started to get built before he even came into this world. So I would have been torn if at any point it would have came out that my son isn't mine. But thank God that's not the case.
Just one more question for you then. Okay, if when you talk about that bond that's built, before even the child has even appeared, I was wondering if you could just kind of dive into that a little bit more. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I think oftentimes we don't get to discuss about how men are impacted by the process of pregnancy. We know that women are going through bodily changes, their mental changes, chemical changes in their body. We know biologically they change and they go through a lot. You type in the internet, you have a lot of information about what happens to women and what they go through, right? But for us as men who are in these situations, you just spoke about a bond, and I wanted you to kind of explore that a little bit more. When you say a bond is kind of forming for you from your personal experience, what did that entail? What was that like? What was you feeling? What was that in a sense? If you could maybe explore that a bit more.
My whole life started to take a shift. Like I started to create plans for my son for when he's born, when he goes to daycare, when he moves to high school, when he's up in college. Before he was even born, I started creating plans of the type of dad I'm going to be, what I want to see for him. So that's, even though it's mental and it might be financial, me putting money aside, is also emotional, because it's also emotional just thinking of him and just creating the plans and designing the life that I want for him and the type of father that I want to be. So that creates a connection. That creates a caring feeling before he even enters the world. So that's what when they say unconditional love, in my opinion, that's the only time I have felt unconditional love for my child. He doesn't have to do nothing. All you do is sit, eat, poop, cry, and I'll die for you. Like I need nothing back from you. So so that bond was built just from creating plans for his life and my life, knowing that he was coming.
I'm hearing you. Before I go to CPAC, Ty, were you going to say something? You were going to say something before I go to CPAC.
Yeah, I was going to say something about the guy in the video, just to bring it back a little bit. Obviously, the men on the panel understand the importance of being a dad, and we just touched on the possibility, of losing a child. And, that's another piece that, the guy in the video is not even taking